again, Internet. Today we're on our way to see the Paulding Lights in the Upper Peninsula, just near the town of Paulding, Michigan. They've been seen almost every night since the 60s, so I'm hoping we see them tonight. I don't really know if they need any certain conditions. As you can see right now, it's like cloudy, so hopefully that won't obscure them, or whatever you want to say. I guess if we're gonna say it's a ghost, then there should be no problem, right?
What if it's a UFO?
Well, if it's a UFO, yeah, see, it could obscure conditions. So either way, if we see them or not, it's probably something paranormal. Oh, I was curious to know how many people would be out here. Looks like, what is this, 6 cars? 5 cars?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was interesting, y'all. Like, there was a lot more to it than I realized. Like, when we first got out here, what we were seeing a lot of was headlights coming and going, and it did look weird because sometimes it would fade into this dim sort of light. But then people kept saying, that's not it, those are headlights. And I've heard several people say, you'll know it when you see it. When I was asking, like, oh, you know, how is it different? So I don't know, it was weird. I think I heard 2 different people say that they thought it was further down in the valley than where we were seeing it as well. And then, how long do you think we were out there for? Probably more like 45 or an hour or something like that. And just this last time that we saw it before we came back out was different, actually. It moved like left to right and up and down as well.
It was a small, like, pinprick light that was red that just kind of meandered around in the area.
It was kind of fun, just standing up by the guardrail listening to people tell stories about other times they've seen it. I can see how rumors kind of circulate and like how this gets so like, oh, I heard, you know. There was a lot of funny comments too. There was like a guy who was, because we stood out there for a long time, so a lot of groups came through. So, you know, there's a guy came up, heard him open a beer, and he's like, what are we looking at? And then some other guy, it might even have been that guy. So we were standing there watching, and there was clearly some headlights on the other side. And he's like, and then those guys over there see our headlights and think we're the Paulding Light. And, oh, some guy came up and he's like, man, this is living. Staring down a dirt road, waiting to see a light.
That was really good.
I think that we are definitely gonna have to come out here tomorrow in the morning to see what this actually looks like in the daytime. You know, I couldn't really vlog when I was down there because, you know, it was like quiet and everyone's standing there. This was like a fun night. That was really interesting. I'm glad we stayed a little longer to see that last instance of it moving around. So I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll come back out here tomorrow morning. We're gonna warm up and have some snacks though. We found our favorite chips at that store earlier. It's like an evil eye flavor.
It's ketchup.
Yeah, which apparently is ketchup, but that was not clear.
Ketchup is,
you
the
know,
secret
evil eye
ingredient.
flavored. Ooh, and then we have Halloween trail mix that I made. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Good night. As promised, here we are. This is giving us like a much better idea of kind of what the layout is. And now you can see what we were even looking at last night. Okay, so when we first drove up, you come up this like dirt road, and then you walk up to this barrier. Paulding Light. And we were looking right down here, down this path. And the light was appearing like sort of the top of that ridge. I guess where the trees opened up, huh? To further complicate things, people just kind of like walk down here to look at the light. I mean, there wasn't that many people, it was fine. But you would have a couple groups down here that might have like a little light, you know, that they're using to walk, or a flashlight, or their phones. You would have little, it was kind of funny, you'd have these little lights down here in the valley, and someone would be like, is that it? Someone who just walked up, they'd be like, is that it? Is that the lights? Yeah, and someone would be like, no, there's some people down there.
It was like...
Okay, so we are going to also take this path now, that we can see what we're doing. So when I was telling you guys last night that it's supposedly headlights, the road, it's not that there's a road just at the top of that hill. Those lights are actually coming from about 8 miles away. The legend about this light, I mean, there's, you know, a lot of different theories that people say it is. You know, we heard last night someone thought it was aliens. I think the generally accepted one is that it's a railroad worker, and it's supposed to be like a lantern. Which, if you saw my Brewery Hill Spook Light video in Minnesota, that one is also a railroad worker who is supposedly holding out a lantern as like a warning. It's a common motif, I guess, with spook lights, is that it's a railroad worker who died.
Or was it that hermit?
There was 2 different ones.
Of course.
Yeah. There's a lot of ones. I don't know. I guess railroad workers are just more cursed than other people. More likely to become ghosts. Whew, it is chilly this morning. So we're also walking down here because last night, I don't think we relayed this story. Apparently there's also a building that burned up, and I guess there's even a legend about this house that it's cursed, and people who take bricks from it as souvenirs, they die. Oh, I think we're coming up to
the creek.
Oh, this is nice. Coming up on the ridge now. I can definitely see this road being the place where everyone comes to walk, like with your friends as a teenager, and like scare each other, right? Mm-hmm. That road that we first drove in on, and well, maybe this too before the light was this attraction, it was like a makeout point type of deal. That's why I had said that it had been reported since the 60s. Yeah, it was first reported by some teenagers, because probably out here doing you know what. Alright, so this is the crest of the hill that we could see from the other side of the trail from our car. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but we can see our car. And up there, so where you see our car right there, that's where we walked from, and that's where everyone would stand to see the lights that are appearing over top of the hill that we're standing on now. This is a lot nicer than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like a weird, creepy, single track trail. I'm not sure where this cabin is. I guess it must be a bit further, but I don't know if it's this way or that way. Oh, I guess it could be, but I feel like there'd be a very obvious opening in the trees somewhere. Oh, like that? I don't know. I guess this way looks nice. So maybe we should be taking the weird spooky path. We'll go this way anyway. This is at least a nice walk. Even if we don't find a cursed cabin. Alright, well, we didn't know like what direction or how far it was, so we turned back. And I'm gonna end this video. I think, you know, no matter what you want to say the lights are, I still think it's really impressive and interesting because, you know, when we were standing up there last night, even like the lights where it obviously looked like it was a headlight, then you would have thought that there was just a highway up there, which, as you saw, that's not the case. So it is interesting that, you know, all these breaks in the trees, this road, maybe the one for the telephone lines, all that stuff lined up perfectly with a adopt this highway sign along this road 8 miles away to perfectly create this situation. Or the fact that a ghost or UFO comes out here every night. I mean, you know, whatever you want to say. I'm good with whatever people want to attribute it to. I think it's all interesting and cool. Yeah, it was really interesting last night hearing all these stories of people who've been coming out here for like 20 years and seeing it every night. So I don't know. I would still recommend coming out here if you like weird stuff. It was definitely interesting. It was definitely a show and a cool place to hang out in Michigan on the Upper Peninsula. So I will say goodbye and see you next time. Bye. I should have ended this before we did this uphill portion and I was all out of breath.